Representing the Baltimore Orioles, shortstop Mark Belanger.
As soon as I heard about this award, to me, there was nobody else. There was no one who approached the contribution by a player, active or retired, for me, other than Blade.
Mark Belanger was meticulous. I know that's the way he played the game, and it was evidenced by his 8 gold gloves. So you don't just get those because people like you. You get those because you're meticulous in your preparation as well as your skill set. That's what Mark brought to the Players Association.
He was, first of all, an extraordinary player, an extraordinary athlete, but he was dedicated to the union, dedicated to the MLBPA, and he essentially helped create the union in its current form.
Mark Belanger was a great brother, and he was a good person. He certainly did a lot for the family. When he signed his contract, he went out and bought our parents a car.
With Mark, what you saw was what you got. He didn't hide anything. He wasn't deceptive. He wasn't trying to persuade by misdirection or anything like that. And his speech was both terse and blunt.
We had this expression, and it was all Blades, okay? If you saw Blade on your way out, the only thing he said to you was, don't it up.
There couldn't be a greater moment in your baseball career.
No, this is the greatest moment of my life. I'm so happy. I like to cry, I really do.
Mark and I were part of the very first executive committee or subcommittee, the negotiating committee of players. I was the National League pension rep. He was the American League pension rep. Most certainly we were being relied upon to convey the opinions of the players because we were players, but we also were then required as delivering back to the players the information and the tone and what was really being said in the negotiating room.
He took a 50-day strike, okay, in 81. He led the 50-day strike. It was settled to the players' satisfaction. So I think they had great confidence in Mark.
All of his teammates and all the people that played against him, they knew they weren't getting any fluff with Mark. Mark was pretty straightforward. And when you have that and when you build that relationship with your peers, they trust you. Whenever there was an issue on the table, his opinion needed to be heard.
1994, we had several staff people that were involved other than the former players. Myself, Gene Orza, Mike Weiner, Steve Fear, Lauren Rich primarily.
That was the notorious strike and World Series cancellation era. The clubs always wanted a blunt free agency. They didn't want players to be able to choose where they worked, and they didn't want players to have a market.
Mark sort of crossed the gap in between being a player and being a member of the staff, but he was absolutely integral. He was present at all of the important meetings. He was present at all of the significant player discussions. He was on the phone with players all the time when we weren't in meetings.
He was the player on staff that other players looked up to because they knew of his involvement in the Players Association from the very beginning. Marvin came on board. I think by the time we got to 94, they were fairly confident in our recommendations, but if Blade wasn't there, I don't really know where we would have been.
Mark Belanger's at third base for the Orioles. Paul Blair, the batter. Blair lays down a perfect bunt. Here comes Belanger to score the winning run.
One of the most poignant moments I had at the Players Association was when I left and I had my last hug, with Mark. And he was very ill at that time. I mean, I don't think we knew how ill he was. He did. And he said, we hugged and he said, "We did good, Lauren, didn't we? We did good." I said, "No, Blade, we did great."
I think Mark would be really humbled to receive this award, and from my point of view, very, very deserved.
I would thank him for everything institutionally, and even more so personally. And I would ask him what, given the perspective that he had and everything he had watched, he would suggest we ought to be doing differently now.
I would say to Blade, we didn't f*** it up, ever. And I'm so glad that you're being honored in this way, because you didn't f*** it up either.
He would be very humble, and he would be very appreciative of the recognition of how he not only lived his life, but how he lived his life in his second career with the Major League Baseball Players Association.
I can't think of anyone more fitting to get the Curt Flood Award. And I think you should end the award because there's nobody else after that.